Welcome back once again, guys. Wanted to do another video about tools. If you've gone back and watched some of the early videos on this channel, I've done some tanker basic videos where I talk about some of the tools that are required to do the tanker job. And they are the specific things that you need to do tanker. They are, if you're going to do reefer, if you're going to come to prime and do flatbed, you don't need a lot of the things that are in those videos. I think there's two videos specifically where I show you the tools, I show you the fittings, things like that. This video is not about those tools. So some of those tools that you use can be used if you're not in tanker. This video is about small repairs that can be done on the truck or on the trailer and can save you money or make you money, quite frankly. Bottom line really is if you are at all mechanically inclined, you can save yourself time, money, and put a little bit of money back in your pocket. And I'm talking about real simple repairs. I'm not talking about replacing shocks, and if you're a mechanic and you want to do an oil change, if you want to change the shock on your truck, that's your call. Prime's going to probably want to make sure that you know what you're doing before you do some of the heavier duty maintenance on a truck. But if you're capable of doing it, Prime does not actually have, if you go to a terminal, they are not certified diesel mechanics. They are technicians, and they're going to do some basic maintenance. So if you are at all inclined to be able to do some maintenance on your truck, you're going to save yourself money, obviously, because you're just going to be purchasing parts and doing the labor yourself. And I will give this credit on Prime's part. Prime's labor charge is, if you go to a Prime shop, Prime's labor charge is very reasonable. It's, I believe, $75 an hour to use a Prime shop, as opposed to a lot of the places that you go out on the road are going to be $100, $125 an hour, strictly talking about labor costs. But if you're able to do it yourself, you're going to save that $75 an hour. You're also going to save yourself some time, because as we all know, a lot of shops, if they take 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes to do a repair, they're going to charge you for a half an hour, 45 minutes, or even an hour of labor time, because that's how shops make their money. Now, specifically, the things that I wanted to talk about are simple little repairs. A mud flap. You wouldn't think you're going to have to replace or repair a mud flap that often, but you are. Specifically on trailers, there are situations where if you, basically when the trailer, and you release the trailer brakes, the trailer drops down, the airbag will deflate, and the back of the trailer drops down, and the mud flap, gets closer to the ground. If you have the tires backed up all the way to a curb, you can have a situation where, as your tire pinches up against that curb, the mud flap gets stuck, and if you roll over that curb, you can pull it. And that happens a lot. That happens in a situation where if someone else has dropped the trailer. I specifically have replaced, probably 5 mud flaps. And it's a matter of, it's 4 bolts. It's not rocket science to replace a mud flap. But if you need to if you're out on the road, now if you're at a Prime terminal and you're dropping a trailer, it's pretty simple to have them replace it before the next guy picks up that particular trailer. But if you're out on the road, especially if you're in the middle of a load, First of all, it's a DOT violation. It's an out-of-service violation, actually, to not have a mud flap on a trailer. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to sit at a, say, Petro, wait for Prime to authorize the repair, which is going to take time, then wait for the shop to do the repair, and it's going to take more than your 30-minute break. It's probably going to take an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours to have Prime authorize the repair on the trailer, the shop do the repair, for something that probably should take you 15 minutes. And you can go in, and now here's where, first of all, it's saving you time. If it's going to take you 15 minutes to take out 4 bolts, put a new mud flap on, now, you can purchase that mud flap. You can purchase 4 new bolts if you need to. Prime will reimburse you. Anything on the trailer, Prime's going to reimburse you for, because Prime owns the trailer. Now, here, where does tools come in? Probably not a bad idea to have something simple like this on the truck. It's just a socket set, a couple of wrenches, some Allen wrenches in there. The bolts and nuts for mud flaps are 7/16 of an inch. I use a socket set. If you watched how we pump, I use a socket set. I use a half-inch socket, half-inch drive socket set for the bolts on the faceplate of the pump. So I have that. That's something that I have because I am in the tanker division. Reefer driver may not use a socket set all that often. So this is a separate set. This actually is only for small repairs. The landing gear crank handle. You'd be surprised at how many times the bolt on the landing gear crank handle is missing or broken. And if you have spare, and this is the other thing, if you have spares of the nuts and bolts, those small nuts and bolts like the landing gear crank handle, the nuts and bolts for the mud flaps, and then if you have the tools to fix that. Now, Prime's going to first of all reimburse you as I drop my socket set. Prime's going to reimburse you for, if you have to go and buy, let's say you buy, a couple dozen nuts and bolts of the mud flaps. You buy, maybe 5 nuts and bolt sets for the landing gear crank. Prime's going to reimburse you when you need to make that repair. Just take photographs beforehand, prove that that trailer had a mud flap that was broken or missing or off, and same thing on the landing gear crank. Another thing frequently, and this is a tanker specific one, is the in-transit heat fittings are leaking or broken. And those are fairly easy to replace, and those can be purchased at any hardware store as well. And those are only a couple of dollars. And all you need is a simple pipe wrench and some Teflon tape. You take the old one off, put some Teflon tape on, put a new one on there. Now, Prime's going to reimburse you for the part if you submit through the computer in the truck a purchase order for how much money you spent. Maybe you spent $10 on parts. You bought a bag full of nuts and bolts and some washers. Maybe you bought a couple of those hydraulic fittings. Prime's going to reimburse you on your next settlement sheet. So if you buy them on Tuesday, you're not going to get paid until a week from Friday. But at the same time, you're going to be reimbursed for that. On top of it, Prime will take a look at each individual job that you do. If you replace the in-transit fittings, they may say, we're going to pay you $20 for that. Something a little bit, you do a couple things, they may say, we'll pay you $50 you replace in-transit fittings and you replace the mud flap on one of our trailers. So first of all, you're saving time because you don't have to stop, wait for Prime's approval at a shop, and then have the shop repair it. So you're saving Prime time and money. You're saving yourself time, and you have the opportunity to make yourself some money. Now, you're not making any profit on the parts, per se, but if you save yourself time, and we all know that time is money, especially in this industry where you've got to get from point A to point B in a certain amount of time. Would you rather sit for 2 hours at a truck repair shop waiting for something to get fixed, or would you rather do it yourself and be on your way within maybe 15 minutes? So that's where, and this goes for every division, get something simple like this. This one, this is something that I had before I came to Prime. I think I got this on sale. It says $44.99, but I believe I got this actually at a Kmart going out of business sale. Maybe at this point 5 or 6 years ago. So I had this before I came to Prime. It's just a set of tools that you can have on the truck in case something happens. I also have, and this is another very simple bit driver set. It's a ratcheting screwdriver set. It's got all sorts of bits, 1/4-inch drive socket, and then all sorts of different size of slotted Phillips star, square, hex bits, and adapters. Something simple like this. And some people pointed out this light up on the roof of my truck a couple of videos ago. Well, actually more than a couple of videos, several months ago now, 3 or 4 months ago, that broke and was hanging down. Well, it's another one where it ended up being under warranty. It's a known fault in internationals, but it's 2 screws. Downtime to put the truck in the shop to replace 2 screws, or I can go to the shop, get the part replaced under warranty, and install it myself if I have, the set that has the correct bits in it. So those are really the 2 things that I have. A screwdriver set with as many bits as possible to fit as many, there's all sorts of things all over this truck. The hydraulic pump switch is Phillips head. I've got some hex head bolts on the dash here. That was star bit. So to have the option to be able to do some minor things, I'm not really talking about I'm not talking about replacing the head on your engine. I'm talking about doing some minor things, and it will save you time and it will save you money, as opposed to every time something minor happens in the truck having to run into the shop. So some basic tools. You don't need them immediately when you come to Prime in your PSD. But when you get your own truck, you want to have just a small tool set. This one I keep underneath my bunk. This one I have a small cubby in the dash, and I keep it in the cubby in the dash. Tools. Some good things to have if you're going to be a truck driver. So hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching, and we will talk to you again next week. If you do want to come to Prime, again, the link always in the description. Talk to you again next week, guys.